If you're a fashion-conscious car buyer, then you're likely to want two things. Number one is a premium badge, and number two is a trendy SUV body style, because everybody wants an SUV, right? And that's what makes the Audi Q2 so appealing, because it's got both of those bases covered. Not only that, Audi's smallest Q car is the most affordable way into Audi SUV ownership. Before we get started, please do subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, where you'll find lots more car review videos. While you're at it, you may as well hit the bell icon as well, and that'll mean you'll be notified whenever a new video goes live. Let's start by setting the scene with 5 key things you need to know about the Audi Q2. Number one, it was launched in 2016, and after a series of minor tweaks and additions to the range, it underwent a full facelift in 2020 with revised trim levels and improved styling. Number two, these revised trim levels kick off with Technic, which includes alloy wheels, LED headlights, a powered tailgate, air conditioning, cruise control and rear parking sensors. Sport trim adds racier styling and massively upgraded infotainment, while S-line trim adds even more sportier styling, and Black Edition cars have sportier styling still. The range topper is the Vorsprung with its panoramic roof and adaptive suspension. Number 3, engine choices. There's a pair of petrols. The 1 litre has 114 brake horsepower. The 1.5 litre has 148 brake horsepower. And then there's a pair of diesels. The 1.6 litre has 114 brake horsepower. And the 2 litre has the same brake horsepower as the 1.5 petrol, which is 148 brake horsepower. And they're all turbocharged for efficiency and performance. That's not an end to the Q2 range though, because our number 4 is the high-performance SQ2 version. This has a turbocharged 2-litre engine, delivering almost 300 horsepower, making it capable of 0 to 62 in less than 5 seconds. Number 5 is the price range for the Q2. They start at a fairly reasonable £24,000, but go all the way up to £46,000 for the most expensive Vorsprung SQ2 version. So that's all the background, but what about the car itself? Well, it's fair to say it's slightly different to Audi's other Q models. They are a bit more rugged in their looks and their demeanour. This one has a bit more of an emphasis on style than anything else. And these C-pillars are really to help it stand out against other small SUVs, because essentially it's more of a crossover than an SUV. And because the car we have here is the racier S-line model, it stands out even more. Now, an SUV, even a small one, needs to have enough practicality to make it a decent family car. And the Q2 starts off well, because look at the size of this boot. It is a decent size. It's 405 litres, which is pretty good. Worth bearing in mind though, if you go for 4-wheel drive, it will be smaller. All versions also get split folding rear seats as standard. And as you can see, these lie perfectly flat and level when you drop them. Practicality isn't quite so impressive back here. Legroom is quite good. Headroom, however, is not. I'm only 5'4.5", and it's fine for me. But if you're approaching 6 foot, you will probably be like this and a little uncomfortable. What's more, the width of the cabin is quite narrow, so sitting in the middle seat is uncomfortable and a little bit squishy. So really, this is a 2-person zone. Things quickly improve when you're sitting in the front, because there's plenty of space and the lofty upright driving position that SUV buyers love. If you're being really picky, then you would like the steering wheel to be able to get closer to you. Even when I move my seat into the correct driving position, it could be a little closer, and that's as low as the seat goes, so it doesn't feel particularly sporty. And importantly, the Q2 has the quality you expect from an Audi, even though it's one of the firm's cheaper models. Most of the materials and finishes look plush and classy, and all the switches and buttons work with a satisfying click. There are 1 or 2 places where the plastics feel a little harder and more functional, but they don't ruin the overall effect. There's a fairly high-tech feel in here too. All versions, apart from the entry-level model, get Audi's virtual cockpit, which has a digital display, which is rather swanky looking, and it includes the car's instruments and some infotainment functions neatly displayed right in front of you behind the steering wheel. All the infotainment features you expect are covered, such as DAB, Bluetooth and full smartphone connectivity. And thanks to the central rotary controller and logical operating system, it's all really easy to use and much less distracting than a touchscreen. So the Q2 feels pretty sophisticated, but how sophisticated does it feel on the road? Let's find out. Let's kick off with the engine. This car is the TFSI S-tronic. And when you manage to decode all of that, it's the 1.5 litre turbocharged petrol engine mated to an optional 7-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox. Now, we've tried this engine in countless other Volkswagen Group products, and it's really impressed us. It's strong and eager right throughout the rev range, and it's also really smooth, and that's very much the case in the Q2 as well. For some reason, though, the combination of this engine and gearbox doesn't feel quite as harmonious as it does in other Volkswagen Group cars. The power delivery seems to be all or nothing, so you put your foot on the accelerator, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden it happens, so it's actually quite difficult to drive it smoothly. The reactions of the gearbox don't get any swifter when you stick the car in dynamic mode either, and what's more, this causes the transmission to hold lower revs for longer, making the engine noisier than necessary. Dynamic mode doesn't really do much to the general driving, but the Q2 is already pretty dynamic compared with most other SUVs. There's plenty of grip, minimal body roll, the steering feels precise, quick and responsive, and so through the corners it feels impressively sharp and alert. That does of course mean that the ride is rather firmer than you get in your average SUV though. It smooths out bigger bumps okay, but it does fidget about quite a bit on smaller ones. There are other SUVs that would be more comfortable then, but having said that, the Q2 is still comfortable enough for most people. So the Q2 has quite a lot going for it. It's stylish, good to drive, high in quality, has plenty of luxury features, and is pretty affordable when compared with Audi's other Q models. One note of caution here though, when you compare it to its rivals instead of its stablemate, it actually starts to look very pricey indeed. Just like other premium SUVs, it's similar in size to a Ford Puma or Seat Arona, but it's priced more in line with bigger, more expensive SUVs such as the Ford Kuga and Seat Ateca. In order to justify buying an Audi Q2, you've got to really like the way it looks and really want that Audi badge. And if you do, then it should serve you extremely well. We'd love to know if you agree with our verdict on the Audi Q2, so please do tell us in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe as well. And while you're at it, why not browse our channel for more new and used car reviews, and to find a great deal from a top-rated dealer on your next car, you can always head over to cargurus.co.uk.